Disclaimer. This book may contain content that is considered historically inaccurate or culturally insensitive by modern standards. My hope is that by exploring old literature, we will better understand why people of the past thought the way that they did and understand the influences that shape their culture. This video is not intended for young audiences. Hi! I'm Morgan, and today I will be reading to you from Myths from Many Lands. And this is from, I believe, a collection or series of books called The Children's Hour. And this is the second book in that collection. And it was published by Houghton Mifflin Co. in 1907. And today I will be reading to you from Myths of Japan. And the myth I will be reading is The Star Lovers by Frank Rinder. Shokujo, daughter of the sun, dwelt with her father on the banks of the silent river of heaven, which we call the Milky Way. She was a lovely maiden, graceful and winsome, and her eyes were tender as the eyes of a dove. Her loving father, the sun, was much troubled because Shokujo did not share in the youthful pleasures of the daughters of the air. A soft melancholy seemed to brood over her, but she never wearied of working for the good of others, and especially did she busy herself at her loom. Indeed, she came to be called the Weaving Princess. The sun bethought him that if he could give his daughter in marriage, all would be well. Her dormant love would be kindled into a flame that would illumine her whole being and drive out the pensive spirit which oppressed her. Now there lived, hard by, one Kingen, a right honest herdsman, who tended his cows on the borders of the heavenly stream. The Sun King proposed to bestow his daughter on Kingen, thinking in this way to provide for her happiness, and at the same time keep her near him. Every star beamed approval, and there was joy in the heavens. The love that bound Shokujo and Kingen to one another was a great love. With its awakening, Shokujo forsook her former occupations, nor did she any longer labor industriously at the loom, but laughed and danced and sang and made merry from morn till night. The Sun King was sorely grieved, for he had not foreseen so great a change. Anger was in his eyes, and he said, "Kingen is surely the cause of this, therefore I will banish him to the other side of the river of stars." When Shokujo and Kingen heard that they were to be parted, and could thenceforth, in accordance with the king's decree, meet but once a year, and that upon the 7th night of the 7th month their hearts were heavy. The leave-taking between them was a sad one, and great tears stood in Shokujo's eyes as she bade farewell to her lover husband. In answer to the behest of the Sun King, myriads of magpies flocked together and, outspreading their wings, formed a bridge on which Kingen crossed the river of heaven. The moment that his foot touched the opposite bank, the birds dispersed with noisy chatter, leaving poor Kingen a solitary exile. He looked wistfully towards the weeping figure of Shokujo, who stood on the threshold of her now desolate home. Long and weary were the succeeding days, spent as they were by Kingen in guiding his oxen, and by Shokujo in plying her shuttle. The Sun King was gladdened by his daughter's industry. When night fell and the heavens were bright with countless lights, the lovers were wont, standing on the banks of the celestial stream, to waft across its sweet and tender messages, while each uttered a prayer for the speedy coming of the wondrous night. The long-hoped-for month and day drew nigh, and the hearts of the lovers were troubled lest rain should fall, for the silent river, full at all times, is at that season often in flood, and the bird bridge might be swept away. The day broke cloudlessly bright, it waxed and waned, and one by one the lamps of heaven were lighted. At nightfall the magpies assembled, and Shokujo, quivering with delight, crossed the slender bridge and fell into the arms of her lover. Their transport of joy was at the joy of the parched flower, when the raindrop falls upon it. But the moment of parting soon came, and Shokujo sorrowfully retraced her steps. Year follows year, and the lovers still meet in that far-off starry land on the 7th night of the 7th month, save when rain has swelled the silver river and rendered the crossing impossible. The hope of a permanent reunion still fills the hearts of the star lovers, and is to them as a sweet fragrance and a beautiful vision. And that is the end of the Star Lovers by Frank Rinder. Thank you for joining me for this myth, and I hope you join me for more myths from many lands in the future.